Hey guys, this is a second take movie monkey review. That's right, I saw a movie twice, 2 weeks back to back. That movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So, this is another rant about what did I notice in this viewing of this movie in particular, that really is, in my mind, visually stunning. This is a review, or it's a rant. It's not a review. It's just me, my thoughts about this movie. And so there's filled with spoilers. So I'm gonna don't watch this, watch the movie, and then watch this to get another perspective. And I want to say that is really valuable, I think, to look at other people's perspectives. I saw a movie review of this movie that really got me going, looking at the obvious connection between Ego, the character, and your ego as human beings. And the character, in my mind, after seeing that, brings the movie into more of a perspective about letting go of the ego to get to a space with your family, with your loved ones, that once letting go of that you are the center of the galaxy, that you are the galaxy, that is you plus everyone else, which is what ego is. Which is great. I just had this training course which was talking about this kind of stuff. And ego is, it's ego plus everyone else in the universe. And his goal, his mission over the past, thousands of years, which he states, is to go from an entity, which is ego, to the universe becoming ego. And him becoming all of life. And that is the struggle internally in you as a being, as me as a being, is the internal struggle between the egoic self, which states you plus everything else in the universe, instead of you being a piece of the universe, and that being the beauty of being a person, of being a human. It's funny how he brings in human. He says, I wanted to know what it was like to be human. And it's interesting to me because it's a standpoint that I don't understand in this movie, the context of this movie, that Earth isn't really that big of a deal in the galaxy, but he states human as I wanted to know what it was like to be human. And Ego also takes this form of this human being, and he shows that when he's introducing himself to different alien species. So I don't understand why Ego doesn't change his body for different species, that Ego itself came up with a human form, that came up with a person, he looks like a person, not an alien, not alien at all. I mean, he just looks like the actor. So it was really interesting to see that the manifestation of Ego is a person, as a body, is a human being's body and not another alien's body. So if you're looking at this, I was looking at this as a metaphor for that. So it made the movie well-rounded for me, and in watching it the second time, I saw a lot more. There was a lot more detail. There was a lot more, I cared about the characters a lot more, especially Yondu's character, that I got to see the whole movie again, from knowing where it ended to the beginning, and seeing the motivation in his character. He's very motivation driven. They did a really good job on connecting my motivation and suspending disbelief. I really bought into a lot of the characters, except for Gamora and Nebula. So Gamora and Nebula's characters, once again, I maybe watch the first movie again and then this movie, because it's still comical. It's still comical how Nebula comes at her to me, and I know that's not the case, that Nebula's character is having this really big internal struggle about what motivates her as a being. What is the driving force of her life and existence, I think. And it shows up through this brooding, childish woman, like metal machine cyber, like enhanced being, and trying to figure out what the fuck motivates her. And seeing that, like, in that, getting into that thought process of where she's coming from was a little bit difficult, a lot more difficult than Rocket, which had Yondu and Rocket kind of paired up, and you could see the similarities between those characters, and it brings across really, like, it makes a lot of sense on the drive and motivation of those two characters. Like, they help each other out. And then you have Mantis and Drax, and they buddy up, and you can see where Drax is coming from and Mantis, and like what their characters are with each other. Very well done. And then you even have, you know, Ego and Peter, and they're together, and those characters are working off of each other to see their motivations of what they're doing. And then you have Gamora and Nebula's characters kind of trying to do the same thing, but it's so over the top. And I think it's because Nebula is like a really broken person, and this movie is like her trying to figure out what motivates her, because murdering Gamora was motivating her to the point until she had second thoughts about it. Like, she stopped herself from killing her and talking about it. So her character shifts. There's a huge character shift maybe from the first movie to the second movie, and it does it in a way that's like very dramatic. It's very like, choose to stab Gamora in the eye and kill her, or like let her live. And when that choice comes to Nebula's character, because Gamora's established as like a person who wants to help people, and when she saves Nebula, it makes sense. But when Nebula tries to, like, goes back and saves her, that's the turning point of that character. Is what is my motivation? And then at the end of the movie, they give this really like subtly awkward hug. Gamora hugs Nebula, and then Nebula kind of reaches in, her butt's way out, and her body language is that she doesn't understand what this is. It doesn't make sense. And she does return the hug and then pushes that away. Like, it's not like I feel like the character feels like it's a trick and wants to remove that, and her motivation is now to kill Thanos. Because he is the causer of the pain that she feels daily, just by having most of her being replaced by robot parts and stuff. So super interesting. I still say that she has a really interesting character, and I want to kind of I want it to work for me. I want it to really land, because I really want the third movie, which I think they're going to confront Thanos in, to really like have that character arc. Yondu's character is arced really wonderfully through the first two movies, and I really understood where his character's coming from. I wanted to say that Drax is like standout favorite character. Standout favorite. I didn't think I liked him so much. I literally laugh at every joke. It's perfect. Everything. Every funny thing. Every weird thing. And that his character is going through a lot of shit. Has gone through a lot of shit, and is like in a state of, when he says, "Where's Peter?" and looks, there's dread across his face. And I think that's really amazing that this character has mentally replaced his family with the family that he lost and was murdered. It's established in the first movie, to this new family. And it's like the only thing that's keeping him sane. Like, probably went fucking nuts. I mean, he basically almost committed suicide in the first movie. And he does run into danger a lot, but it's like this dread that came across his eyes, like I believed it. I believe it from that character. I believe it from the characters that it's like, this is it. They've been looking for something to not go nuts. Like, Rocket is basically a little serial killer animal because he was genetically altered as a raccoon into a military, like, they put military strategies and how to kill people into his brain and tortures him until he did it. And that's the motivation of that character. Really dark. I mean, these characters have really dark stuff, and it's like the willingness to be in a space with other beings, and that they've almost died together, that's brought them together as a unit, is really kind of like hanging in the balance of each other's survival and each other's care for, like, to not let each other down. That motivates them more than their life. Like, the other people matter more than themselves, and they all kind of do that. They all have that the other characters matter more than them. They have this worthiness, like, conversation about being worthy about life and, like, being alive. And I really enjoy that a lot. Yeah, so that was the second take. Guardians of the Galaxy, take 2. Really good movie. Oh, in the beginning scene of that movie, childish. Some of the, I mean, I get the motivations sort of the characters, and it really, but most of the movie just blows that away. So, awesome movie. Check it out.